Praise God. Shalom to all our precious viewers. It's such a joy greeting you on this special day, a day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. We trust God that as you continue to view choices, you would be blessed, encouraged, challenged, and that you would see upward mobility in your life. We are living in a world that is moving at a fast rate. Time is running out on us. We have to make so many decisions that will determine our future. At this time, we need a savior, a deliverer, a guide, one who knows all about the future, a greater power than ourselves, one who passed through this life himself and was successful and victorious. I recommend him to you today. His name is Jesus. Continue to protect yourself and family. The coronavirus is still with us. Record shows that over 4 million people are dead and over 232 millions have contracted this deadly disease. You don't have to be the next victim. Continue to protect yourself. This is choices. God bless you and God bless beautiful Guyana.
You know, as I looked at the statistics recently, I did a comparison with last month, and I remember we were struggling. Well, not struggling, but we were moving in terms of the death, 600 and something. And September is about to close out, and we now have somewhere around 783 persons dead. So, and September's been described as the deadliest month since the pandemic has started. I don't know what has to be done now for persons to be awakened to the fact that now more than ever, we need to protect ourselves so that we could preserve this great nation of ours. I think the level of controversy in terms of the news that we have been listening to would not have been very helpful. And up to this morning, I was reading and I noted one organization is saying that we need to take a break from COVID news on the social media because of the different information that might be coming in and affecting the minds of people and how they think. People are considering whether to be vaccinated, whether not to be vaccinated, which vaccine will become magnetic, which vaccine will cause you to explode, and all of these things that we're hearing. And while all of that is happening, people are dying around us. So again, we want to proffer that the importance of us applying all the measures that we have been speaking about again. And I don't think we could ever become tired of telling people about sanitizing and telling people about wearing face masks, social distancing, and so on. And I think what is very important is the discipline. I think we need to be very disciplined as a people if we are going to beat this pandemic. We cannot be roaming and mixing and meddling without the precautionary measures. And again, we've been listening and hearing very pertinent, important information about the vaccine. And the vaccine is just another method of helping us to preserve ourselves, in addition to all those things that we've been doing. The statistics are clear again. The amount of persons who are dying from at the Lillian Center when the results are out, the people who are dying are unvaccinated. So there's a correlation, a direct correlation between the deaths and the unvaccinated because the stats is there. And so we want to caution our people again to adhere to the rules that would have been given to us. And most importantly, let us be that disciplined people as we go about fighting this thing. People have been talking about a lockdown, but I don't know if a lockdown is the most logical approach because The one man in that lockdown who might have violated the lockdown that we may not know or may not have seen is the one man could start this cycle all over again. And so at the end of the day, it comes to persons making that deliberate effort to protect themselves and applying themselves in such a way that we all could be preserved in this country. Gentlemen.
The
I
importance
found
of the fact that we need to continue to adhere to the protocol and all of that. But you mentioned something that I want to touch a bit on concerning the 700 plus persons who would have died. And the question that comes to mind is whether that as a society, we have become insensitive. So numbers are simply numbers, but the numbers should tell us that these are persons who perhaps, or not, I shouldn't say perhaps, who could have made a contribution to this country in whatever form to help us as a nation, given the fact that we are underpopulated when you consider the size of this country. So numbers are being published of persons dying every day, but to my mind, it is not attracting the sort of action that I think that is necessary. So we see numbers and it's just statistics now. I mean, yeah, somebody died and all of that. So I think we are becoming insensitive to what is happening concerning COVID. And I think that reality, if I can put it that way, or that mindset has to change, and so that we can take more corrective action or more preventative action as it relates to COVID. So, you know, I mean, like you mentioned, I mean, persons talking, but we need to take a break from COVID information. I mean, yes, we're having a preponderance of information, but information that informs us as to how we should conduct ourselves as a people, individuals, as groups, as a society, can never, ever be too much, because this thing is real. And we shouldn't only be sensitized, or we shouldn't only pay attention when we consider the person who would have died is somebody of significance. I mean, if you go to the scripture, I mean, we all, whether we hold high offices or not, we have all been created in the image and likeness of God. We all have a contribution to make. It's just that we have to find ways on how to make that contribution. So the society should not be shocked. The society should not be concerned if it's somebody of significance, but we should be concerned if a single person died. So the appeal here again is for all of us to do what is right, what is important, what has been proven scientifically correct. We all must adhere to those rules so that we can save and we can prevent even one more life being lost in this country here.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. One life or one death from COVID-19 is too many. And like you said before, it seems as if we are becoming casual. I will add, our heart seems to become hard, or we becoming hardened to the fact that more and more people are dying. I don't know if it's a survival mechanism. So we decided, oh, another death. But one death is too many. And I always say to myself, no matter what I go through, my ability to feel and my ability to be sensitive, not only to my needs, but the needs of others, is critical to my own survival. And so as a nation, we must be concerned. We must see this as an issue, as a problem. We therefore must become involved where we are able to positively influence and prevent this from happening, from these numbers going up. Some people go as far as say it's good for them. So wait, their death don't affect me? No, we can't go there as a people. So it is, I put it this way, we are all involved, we are all consumed. And like a good referee in a ring, will always say, and I know Dr. Hudson loves boxing. I know you love boxing too, Dr. Lee, and the Reverend Simple on this team. I know he loves boxing. The referee would always say, protect yourself at all times. And so wherever you are listening to this program, I want to echo, protect yourself at all times. You are too important to die. We can't afford to lose you now. Protect yourself.
You know, Dr. Lee, you mentioned the number of persons that have died. I think the count for this month alone is somewhere around 160. 160 of our Guyanese brothers and sisters, young and old. And I think Dr. Lee, or was it you, Reverend Asana, you alluded to the fact that, you know, we seem not to be taking this thing seriously. I know I take some time to read the comments on Facebook. And I know one of the popular comments is like, wait, is only COVID killing people? Or is everybody got COVID nowadays and dying? The reality is that if one were to end up in that facility that we have at Lillian Dal, for example, I know it isn't the only one in the country because people die at other facilities from COVID-related illnesses. And notice I said COVID-related because scientifically, it's not the COVID-19 that kills you. It's the complications that arise from COVID-19. The same way as for those of us who are more familiar with HIV, it's the same way. Nobody dies of HIV. You die from a compromised immune system that was brought on by the condition of HIV. And I'm sure we're all familiar with that. So when you end up at that facility, it's because you are generally not doing very well. And if you subsequently die, they will attribute it to a condition attributed by COVID. Now, we may argue over the numbers, whether they're accurate or otherwise. Some people even say, well, I don't know anybody that died from COVID. Well, so the fact that you know no one died from COVID means that people are not dying. I mean, sometimes I think, does it mean that we have to go and sit down ourselves and count the bodies as they come out? That is what is going to take for us to believe? Look, as Reverend Asana said, this thing is real. We've got to take the necessary measures to protect ourselves and try your best to make it through. And let's do all that we have to do to get over this pandemic.
This is truly agonizing. People are fatigued from the daily reports. I am glad I don't have to give such gory details every day as a part of my job assignment. That cannot be comforting. That cannot be satisfying, but it's absolutely necessary where that report has got to be made to the nation. What we cannot allow is for us to become insensitive to that kind of horrific reports that we're hearing every day. 5 persons, multiple persons dying. It's like if we read a mudslide in the interior in a mining area and 7 or 12 persons die as a result of that. And the very next day, you read of a car crash and 5 persons dying. And the very next day, there's a boat accident and 7 persons dying. Now, after a while, I mean, the shock of the death will make front page news, like how we started reporting COVID-related deaths. Front page, it is there. Now, people are getting tired and they don't want to hear it, they don't want to see it. I agree with my colleagues. Every death don't have to be somebody that is known, well known in society. Recently, we lost a young man, 43 years old. I knew that young man. We knew that young man, Imran Khan. And it's like, when I think about Imran dying, and I think about Maxwell, today we're recording on the last day of September. And we haven't even interred Maxwell as yet. And you think about the reality of that, all these numbers associated with COVID-related deaths, they come from families. Think about that. Think about the grief that these individuals, they're going through. Think about this long list. How many you said have died for September alone?
160.
We have to find a way not to vilify each other. We have to find a way not to demonize those who have taken the vaccine and or to demonize those who have not taken the vaccine. We have to find a way to work together to get out of this current situation. That's our plea. We have to find a way in this country to stop politicizing everything. And people's debt is no less. We have to find a way to get out of this. How do we get out of this? The world is battling. Think about spare a thought for the doctors, spare a thought for the nurses, spare a thought for the cleaners, spare a thought for those healthcare workers. I had to be in the city early on Wednesday, and I saw the response of fellow Guyanese wrapped around the Ministry of Health in Brickdam. And I thought to myself, well, I don't understand all there is to what brought so many Guyanese out to be vaccinated. But I have a feeling that perhaps if this was done early on, we might not have been in this kind of perilous state that we are in. Let us continue the discussion. Let us continue the argument. But let us protect ourselves and let's protect our colleagues. Let's protect our neighbors. Let's protect our friends. We're living in the midst of a public health crisis, and we have to see how best we can be our brother's keeper at this time.
You know, you mentioned that we mentioned that there's a battle right now against COVID, and I actually look at that, as a very interesting way to put it, because it's like if you're within a castle, right? Your immune system is the walls and this big castle and all that, right? You have the enemy outside, the COVID stuff that's outside. And the vaccine are like highly trained soldiers that you bring in. They're trainers that come into your body behind the wall to strengthen your people on the inside so that you'll have a better chance to withstand it. Every time you sanitize, it's like throwing hot oil over the walls and ensuring that those COVID warriors can't come up and climb up the walls or anything like that. You're heating it like that. Every time you sanitize your home, spray Lysol, spray bleach, it's like you sending arrows all over the wall to attack and to clear out that area. This is a battle that we're in, right? And if you look at it like a battle, you'll understand that it's not about like fighting down each other. It's about survival. And you can't just survive a battle unless you're using more than one weapon, Even if you look at the Roman soldiers, they had a shield, they had a sword, they had a spear, they had a dagger. And these were some of the best soldiers that were available at that point in time. So some communities, a person say, just immunize. Other communities say, just vaccinate. Other people say social distance. But what I would suggest is create a mix of all of them, because it's about fortifying your city to protect your body, And if you like those old movies, those old Dark Ages things, you'll understand the analogy I'm telling you about. So look at the vaccine as a trainer, specialized trainers who fought all across the world for this specific enemy. And they're going to come inside of you and they're going to train your own defense, your own soldiers with the knowledge that they need to defeat that specific style of enemy.
Martin, I like the observation, Martin, you make with the Roman soldiers. I think that was beautifully done, and you caused me to reflect on I think it's Spartacus and And some of the other movies, when they mentioned shield wall, you know, they were very good at bringing the shields together and create a wall. And so the enemy on the outside had a great difficulty in penetrating that shield wall. And so that was nicely put. And I'm saying that in this same context now that we're living in, here is where we need the shield wall. We need all the players to come together and put that shield together, speak with one voice, operate with one mind, and put that shield together so that the people of this country could be protected, they could be defended. Because, you know, I grew up here in a chain is as strong as its weakest link. So if we have attempted to put up a wall and you have persons who are coming there and trying to create cracks in the walls, it means that the wall could be penetrated or people could die. So right about now, we need everybody, the doctors, the nurses, the teachers, the politicians, everybody coming together with their shield and putting up that wall, and we're going to defeat this enemy.
Do you know something? Do you know what we're talking about? We're talking about COVID, we're talking about deaths, we're talking about all of these things that seems overwhelming, as one of our speakers alluded to earlier. Persons are saying we should stop talking about COVID. But let's just break it down a little bit. All of the talk we're talking on this program and the programs before, all we're talking about, all we're asking you and what we are doing, we're asking you to look after your health care. We're looking after our health care, our health. We're asking you to look after yourself. It has nothing to do with the government. It has nothing to do with the opposition. It has nothing to do with your neighbor. It has nothing to do with the next village. We're talking about your health care. I'm sure you want to live. I want to live. I want to enjoy. I want to contribute to society, to make it a better place in my own little sphere of influence. So what are we talking about with COVID? It's not COVID. It's your health care. It's about you. It's about prolonging that life so that you can see that grandchild, so that you can see that daughter, so that you can see that neighbor, so that you can contribute to your society. So it's not about COVID fatigue and COVID. These things are, your health care is important. It has nothing to do with anybody else but yourself. So what we're asking you to do, someone mentioned being disciplined before, we're asking you to be disciplined citizens, disciplined people. Region 1, Region 2, all the way to Region 10 in Guyana, and anywhere else around the world that is listening to this program called Choices, we're asking you to look after your health care. Healthcare comes with two aspects. It comes with prevention and it comes with cure. Prevention, as in the social distancing, as in isolating, as in wearing a mask, as in staying home if you don't have to go out. It can't be only about hustling. It can't be only about making that dollar. It can't be only about whatever. It has to be about your health care. What do you value? What do you want to achieve? It has nothing to do with any leader. No government, no, it has to be about you. What are you going to do to help us eradicate this COVID-19? We are asking and we are doing and we are trying to help. No fatigue, health care. It's about your health care.
Pastor Kurt, I was listening to the two generals before, General Hudson and Messiah, and you know, they made an interesting point about protection. And one of the things you do in warfare is that you study, it is called doctrinal template. You study how the enemy fight. And earlier, Deacon Orson was making a clinical distinction between about the immune system and what protects you, what protects the soldier. And it would be interesting to hear his comments on that.
Okay, the comment I was making, it's a very popular thing I've been hearing. Persons have been saying, you know what, I am going to trust in natural immunity. Because they cite a study where it says natural immunity is better than the vaccines. But I don't think people understand truly what natural immunity means. I think when they say, I'm going to trust natural immunity, I'm going to trust in natural immunity, they're saying, I'm going to trust in my immune system, but it's not simply that. To acquire natural immunity, one first has to be infected by the COVID-19 virus. Having been infected by the COVID-19 virus, assuming you survive, you will then have natural immunity. The question is, will you survive to have that natural immunity. Because what the studies actually say is that if one had the COVID-19 virus and then gets a shot of the vaccine, your protection is much greater than another person, for example, who may not have gotten the COVID-19 virus, but got 2 shots of the vaccine. But the experts were not really trying to tell you you should not take any vaccines. They were just trying to show you that those who had been infected and then got the vaccine had a better protection or a longer lasting protection. But they were not trying to tell you, leave it up to your immune system to fight it out.
Well done, General Larson. I think Bishop wanted to say something there, Simon.
Well, I was just admiring the ease with it, which you have made all of us generals, and to be called upon to make a final comment. I might be a corporal in this regard, but the whole idea is the distinction is very startling and very clear. We have a battle at 1 minute, 19 seconds to say that without trying to be confrontational, it's not just my health. In this fight, we are inextricably bound together. And if a set of people decide they want to go to a sweet drink festival tonight and don't protect themselves, that will have a way of affecting the rest of us. I believe our actions individually are inextricably bound together. And therefore, while we take the individual decision to protect ourselves, we also have to be concerned about what somebody else is doing, because it's like that. Because if I am in like 300, that movie 300, and I am expecting I have my shield, and I expect the man who's standing to my right and to my left and above me to have their shield, and one of them forget their shield, it means that I can now be exposed, and the entire whole can be exposed. Guyana, let us work together. This is choices. Let's find a way, by the grace of God, to beat this virus. God bless you.
I'm Celicia on behalf of the set, reminding you that your whole life is the sum of your choices. God bless you.